What is going on, everybody? This is Matt Marinoff, Real Estate Recovery Group, and my co-chair today is Brian L. Ponder, and he's Esquire. He's an attorney, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Brian and I have known each other for quite some time. This is a book that he actually wrote, 4 Steps to Better Credit. And I have to tell you, it's actually a very interesting book. So maybe during the live, Brian, maybe you can actually put up a link where people can actually go to purchase the book if they'd like. I just want to give people a little bit of information.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll give people a little information about you. Brian is an attorney and he's a consumer advocate. Since 2005, which is 15 years, by the way, Brian has assisted customers with their credit as a licensed real estate salesperson. In 2013, Mr. Ponder became licensed to practice law and began representing consumers with his consumer law practice in New York City. Mr. Ponder has obtained settlements, damages, and awards from banks, debt collectors, debt purchasers, credit reporting agencies for their violations in federal, state consumer laws. That's pretty sexy, Brian. The fact that you have a specific niche that you offer to people. And I think anybody who's in the business, whoever has credit itself, should actually get a copy of your book because
Absolutely.
there's really good information in here. And you have a saying in here, which I thought was pretty cool. It's called keeping it real. And and real actually stands for review, erase, add, and it says lawyer up. That's pretty cool. So without further ado, Brian, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Matt. And that's like you keep it real. So, hey, it's perfect.
You know, some people like the fact that I keep it real. Some people don't. I don't really care. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's
Right.
about the person in trouble. So I know you, of all people, I know you get that.
Right. Absolutely. All the time.
So 2013, you decided to go into law?
Yeah. Well, I decided a little bit before then because I had to go to law school before then. But yeah, I decided to go into law after being a jack of several trades. I was thinking, hey, lawyers are expected to know everything. I might as well go to law school and see what I can learn.
Absolutely. So you're actually one of the attorneys that are actually out there that I actually look up to. Your representation for helping people is to help people that are in trouble versus people that there are attorneys out there that take people's cases because they're in it for the money. You're kind of like me a little bit as far as the Robin Hood, trying to get people back on track, with their credit or their credit aspect. Tell people a little bit about yourself. Tell people a little bit about your journey.
Well, Matt, you're right. I like to help people. And actually, that stems back to my sort of lifelong goal. I used to want to actually go into healthcare and become a physician. Organic chemistry sort of diverted me from that. But I have a special passion to help people. But as far as getting into law, I did have a career in healthcare for many years. And once I got into real estate, after I bought my first home, but before I bought my first home, my credit was in the 400s. And at that point, I learned I couldn't finance a loaf of bread at best. And the mortgage loan officer at the time walked me through some steps of what I could do to correct many years of credit neglect and ignorance. And I was able to jump into that house in a lease purchase in November of 2004. And by February 2005, I was able to close on that home, which was my first home for $625,000. I thought it was a miracle. So at that point, I immediately went into real estate as a salesperson and started helping other doctors and nurses purchase homes, dealing with credit concerns. And then after a few years, people wanted me to help with credit that weren't my client. And I was in Georgia at the time. And I learned that you really can't do that. In Georgia, it's actually a misdemeanor to do credit repair outside the scope of real estate law, nonprofit banking, and other. It's 7 areas. And so I teamed up with a lawyer, and the lawyer would write letters and get thousands of dollars back out of demands from debt collectors, creditors doing the wrong thing. And he said, you should go to law school. At the time, I was very busy, had no plan on doing it. But I woke up one day and was like, you know what, that might be a good idea. And the rest is sort of history. Ended up taking the LSAT and going to law school and started consumer practice.
Amazing. So looking back, let's say per se, on what you've done, would you have changed anything? Would you have done anything any different?
You know, that's a great question. That's really a tough question too. I really don't like playing with the past. I like manipulating the future, but I really don't. I never really have a regret of the past because I feel like I'm in such a good place and position in life, and I just couldn't imagine doing anything differently. Sometimes hindsight is 2020. You wish you would have done something a little differently. You know, what if I would have done something differently? It's really uncertain where that would put me. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I really just don't like having regrets of any past experience because I think it brought me where I am today, and I'm pretty happy, the direction life is going.
So you don't feel like you could have done anything differently at all?
I feel like it's not a feel. I know I could do plenty differently. I guess the question is whether I would have or could have. I can't say I would have, but could I have done anything differently? Yeah, I could have done a lot of stuff differently this morning. I could have worked out earlier versus later. But yeah, absolutely. It's always stuff I could have done differently. Always, especially looking back. But hindsight is always 2020, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. So, I took some time to, look at some of the things that you have provided in this book. And it looks to me like you're giving people the roadmap that they need to actually help themselves. What would be the difference between somebody trying to help themselves and or hiring somebody like yourself? And are you able to help people in other states, or you can only do it in Georgia?
So helping yourself versus hiring someone, people really need to really understand that question. Let's take, for example, cooking. Okay, just simple basics, Matt. If you hire a cook, which I have hired a cook, but if you hire a cook, how much is that going to cost you?
Right.
If you learn how to cook 3 square meals a day, how much is that going to cost you and save you over time? So just think about anything, driving yourself into the city, versus having a chauffeur. You can hire someone to do everything, including credit repair. You can hire me. My hourly rates are $400 an hour. That's expensive. Okay? Some people don't make that in a couple of days.
Right.
So if I can teach you what to do, which is really attainable, that will save you a lot of money. And some instances like short sales, yeah, you could tell someone what to do, but if you're not in the industry, you don't know what the heck you're doing. By the time the learning curve kicks in, you're on the street. So same thing with credit, except the learning curve is not as steep. You can actually do most of the things that need to be done yourself and call in the expert at a time where you really, really need it. But it saves you a lot of money. If you read my book, it is a roadmap. It took me many years to just put it together. And my whole concept was to make it super simple that anyone can do it. It's not a dozen letters. It's just 2 main letters. As long as you understand the concept, you can really deal with most problems. Now, as far as helping people, I actually help people all across the United States. I'm licensed to practice in New York state court and federal courts in many different states. The good thing about credit and debt law, a lot of the offending companies do business in New York. And so I'm able to get jurisdiction of them in New York and also some other states that I practice in as far as the federal court is concerned.
I'm looking at some of the content inside the book itself. And it's funny because it says 4 steps to better credit. I'm not the best reader. My attention span is is like a
Yeah. Sure.
But looking in the table of contents, it seems like it's pretty basic, the information that you're providing for people. And I hope that people take the link that I provided now and actually go on and take a look at some of the stuff that's in there. One of the things that stands out here is the national consumer reporting companies, which people really don't understand how they work. You're actually giving them the information. This book is more of a roadmap than anything else to help people understand how credit works, how it can be used for you, and actually how it can actually hurt you. Now, back in the day, I was in one of those multi-level marketing companies, and I do remember saying that there are inaccuracies pretty much in everybody's credit report that could cost them points, which is the credit scores. And sometimes that could tier it for electric bills, gas bills, credit cards, automobile, mortgages, renting. And some of the stuff that you have in here is, which I think is pretty good, is employment screening, tenant screening, check and bank screening, personal property insurance, medical. I mean, the list goes on. This is, if anything else, no matter even if you're looking to purchase something or not, they should definitely take a look at this book. It's pretty powerful stuff. Now, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask.
Sure.
And I hate to put you in the hot seat, but you are an attorney, so you'll be able to answer questions, obviously.
That's fine.
Like that. One of the questions that I came up with, hold on 1 second. I want to do these things in order. I heard you talk about this in the past. What is a consumer lawyer?
Okay. Well, a consumer lawyer deals with consumer law issues. Now, consumer law is actually a very, very broad area of law, from credit all the way to auto fraud, lemon law. So in consumer law, I deal with 3 specific areas. Again, there are many areas. Bankruptcy is actually a part of consumer law, but I don't do bankruptcy. My areas include credit, debt, and foreclosure defense. And so what I mean by credit reporting issues.
Mm-hmm.
When I say debt collection issues, people that are faced with debt lawsuits or trying to eliminate debt without bankruptcy, as far as my practice is concerned. And of course, foreclosure defense, which is self-explanatory. I help homeowners defend against foreclosure. In all 3 of these areas, people think they know about it. They really don't. They don't understand credit. You really don't understand debt. People really, really don't understand foreclosure. So
right,
that's my areas.
Okay. When can someone sue for credit or debt problems per se?
All right, that's a good question. So I'm what you call a trial lawyer. So everything I do is really geared towards being prepared to go to court. It doesn't mean I'm always wanting to go, because court, believe it or not, is actually it's like going to the casino. You never know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to always be prepared for it, because everything you're doing can lead to that. And you don't want to have to start over to get all the things you need to get there and win. But as far as credit is concerned, there's the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You'll hear people refer to it as the FCRA, which is just, the acronym for it. Mm-hmm. That law started in the 70s to sort of dictate how credit is reported, because it can harm a person. It can stop you from going into the military, stop you from getting your home, your car, a job. And so these laws are designed actually to protect the consumer. And so when there are violations on the credit report, violations will include errors that will lower your score, basically harming your credit reputation. And so you can actually sue when you see these errors and ask Equifax, for example, to correct it, or Experian or TransUnion to correct it. And if they do not, you can sue them, and you can get all of your damages and attorney's fees and court costs as a result of the FCRA, for example.
Mm-hmm.
As far as debt, there's the the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and that dictates how debt collectors can treat people. They call people's job, they harass them, call them early, call them over and over repeatedly, causing a lot of stress, a lot of marital stress, personal stress, and loss of income. You could lose your job from the calls. Some people may commit suicide. They become depressed. So all those things are violations of the FDCPA. Again, you could sue when companies violate people, which happens every day. Even if they send a letter, and if you owed a credit card $100 and they're trying to collect $110, well, that's a violation for them to try to collect the extra $10 just because they want to, if the agreement doesn't provide for that. So people can sue for that. They have what's called statutory damages for both of those laws, meaning a person can get up to $1,000 because it's sort of tough to prove what your stress was worth. So if a person has a tough time proving it, submitting medical records, they don't have to do that. So the law provides, look, the court can give you up to $1,000 for each of these violations. So that's when you can sue. Now, when you can sue on the credit side and the debt side, you can really sue right away, because on the credit side, when they prepare these reports about you, they're supposed to make sure it's maximally accurate. And that's under 15 USC 1681 EB. But for the most part, the courts really want you to dispute inaccurate or incomplete information first. And that's another section of the FCRA. So I would say try to do a dispute first, because courts really want you to make an attempt to correct that information. And if they don't do it, when I say they, the consumer reporting agency, if they don't correct it, you can just sue them right away. On the debt side, you really don't have to wait. If a debt collector sends you a letter trying to collect $110 that you don't owe, you can actually sue them that same day. You don't have an obligation to try to dispute with them, although you can and you should, but you can sue them right away.
Brian, I'm actually getting people that are messaging me privately. Okay. Is there a different link, or is there a direct link
to the book?
Yeah.
On Amazon, if you search 4 Steps to Better Credit, it will pop up, but I will let me pull that up. 4 Steps. That link didn't work.
I don't know if the link works or not. I think people are looking for a more streamlined way to do it.
Oh, I got you. Let's use this one. A long one, but it takes you directly to the Amazon. It should.
Let's hope it works.
Now,
I'm going to drop it in the comment section coming up now.
I think I will actually on my website. They can just go to brianponder.com.
Yeah,
there's a hot link there that'll take them right to the book. And
well, that link itself hopefully should pop up. So
okay, good.
Take a look at that. Let me see if it's popping up now. In the link. Let's see here. To the stream. Just want to make sure this is on there, because I want people to take full advantage of it.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, they can reach out to you direct. You can send them the link too, but I believe the link is on here now.
Excellent.
I don't see it, but that doesn't mean anything. All right, in any event, there's 2 links on there. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Hopefully, everybody who's watching now, if you could see it, if you just say, "Hey, yes," you can see the link. That would be great. It worked. Oh, cool. Oh, good.
Awesome. Thanks, Lee.
She said, Gory just said it worked, and she just purchased the book.
Now, Matt, I want to say something for your viewers. What I'm going to do is this: anyone that gets that book, like I said, there's 2 letters in there, but I have over a dozen bonus letters that I will give them for free. All they need to do is, like, you know how you get the confirmation email, forward that to me, and I will respond with a special link where they can get over a dozen. It's about 15 bonus letters, including some COVID-19 things that I drafted. They'll get that completely free. Just email me, and my email is brian@brianponder.com. So they'll be, for the bonus letters.
Great. So, guys, just so you know, Brian's saying right now, if you purchase his book, and there's only 2 letters in that book, he's going to give you the additional letters that he has as a bonus for free. You just have to send him the confirmation, And I'm going to give you his information so you can send it to him directly. So you could reach out to Brian directly if you want. I put his phone number on there. I also put his email address. You can reach out to Brian at brianponder.com. That's Brian at brianponder.com. You can also contact him at 646-450-9461. Again, it's 646-450-9461. And for anybody that's going to be watching this at a later date for recording, still go for them if they watch it after the live.
Absolutely, anytime. So if you're seeing this later, I will definitely hold true to that bonus package going to you. Just email me. I'll respond with that link. You'll be able to download all the letters, even the updated letters that are in the book I have within these bonus letters.
Okay, great. Guys, this is actually on the fly. This wasn't even like rehearsed, so I'm trying to put this information up there for you guys. You heard it live from Brian right now. Saying if you purchase his book, he's going to give you guys the bonus letters. To just email Brian the confirmation that you purchased his book. That's a win-win situation right there. I don't even remember. How much was your book?
It's $24.
$24.99
or $59 on Amazon right now.
Well, $25. It's well worth it.
$25.
Well worth it. Because you know why? We're having people now that are reaching out to us and say, Matt, I was trying to do a forbearance, and the bank is allowing it. But I also reach out to my credit card companies, and I let my credit card companies know that we were also during COVID period of time that I wanted to take advantage of the relief. And they're still getting negative remarks on the credit report. So maybe those letters would be able to help those people.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's people supposed to not get dinged on their credit right now with COVID relief being granted. So it's going to be a big issue now more than ever, really.
Cool. I don't know who this user is, but he says he might actually have a client for you, believe it or not. Clear violation in the FCRA. So who knows? So I'm not sure who the person is because it doesn't show because StreamYard and Facebook, for whatever reason, have problems interacting. So reach out to Brian direct. Obviously, you can talk to him. The information that we're talking about today is the 4 steps to better credit with Brian Ponder. And there was another question that I wanted to come on here that I want to ask you. Where is it? Oh, here it is. What is credit repair versus consumer law?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, credit repair is a process whereby people try to fix things that are wrong on their credit report. And it's unfortunate, Matt. I believe that word has gotten a negative connotation because, and I'll tell you why.
Credit repair?
Yeah, credit repair. Yeah. It's
what
just
do you like better, credit repair or credit restoration?
You know what? They're all the same. They're all the same. Credit restoration, credit repair, credit help. Here's the thing. Credit repair is actually governed by a federal law as well and many state laws. There's something called the Credit Repair Organizations Act, or called CROA, CROA. And that basically dictates how people can provide credit repair services to others. So credit repair versus consumer law, a big distinction is credit repair can be done by any person. It does not have to be a lawyer.
Right.
Anyone can be a credit repair person. Consumer law, you're dealing now with lawyers outside the scope of credit repair that are more so looking at legalities, the law as it affects that person, and things like that. Whereas credit repair consists of any person it could be any person. So you have some people that are doing credit repair that may not even know one thing about credit. It's just, hey, I do credit repair. Some of these could be network marketing companies. Some of these can be just any person that may have found letters on the internet. And a lot of letters on the internet, unfortunately, are completely wrong. There's this one popular letter. I'm sure the guys made millions off of it. It's called a 609 letter. I've seen the letter. The letter is completely off base when it comes to repairing your credit. Section 609 of the Fair Credit Reporting Act only says that a consumer reporting agency or credit bureau has to disclose to you what's on your file. Has nothing to do with clearing up your credit report. So that letter is, I've seen it come across my desk so many times, and actually it asks the credit reporting agencies to send contracts and things like that. There's no obligation under the FCRA that even requires the credit reporting agencies to do what that letter is asking. So a lot of bad information out there. So my goal really with this book is to provide some proper information. I even have a course called Credit Mastery where people can join in and learn. I do Zooms twice a week where they can learn the law and credit repair. And most of these people are consumers or credit repair people themselves, and I'm teaching them the law and the right way to do things.
That's pretty powerful, actually.
Yeah. I think your dog has a question.
My dog?
I think he has a question.
I think the duct tape fell off my dog's mouth.
It got loose. I'm just playing.
No, absolutely. So, because we've known each other for at least 5 years or so, you kind of knew me when I started going nationwide.
Yes.
With my service to try to help other people in other areas. This is a signed copy from you, and it basically says, Matt, keep up the great work, helping people nationwide with short sales, Brian L. Ponder. So that is you, correct?
Absolutely. That's my signature. Don't leave it too long. It might.
Oh,
I'm just playing. It's all right. Yeah, Matt, when I met you, you were mainly serving people in like the tri-state area specifically.
Right. I was mainly focusing in New Jersey, New York,
New Jersey, New York. And then I referred you people. You helped so many people. I appreciate that. And then you started going nationwide, which I was very excited about because not many people know how to do what you do and help people the way you do. And
right.
you're just relentless and trying to get the job done. So I was very excited about that. But yeah, I'm very excited about what you're doing. I hope a lot of people that are interested in short sales, whether they're lawyers, real estate agents, investors, really take heed to it, because the time, I think, the time is really now. You're going to see a lot of this. You're going to see a lot, the values change in the upcoming years. But there's always a need for short sales, but especially when the market is about to ebb and flow, like I think it's overdue now, I think, for a burst. But
all the signs are there. Low interest rates, not enough product that's out there. Unfortunately, COVID is really forcing their hand with with people with jobs, either being furloughed, being asked to come back, not being asked to come back. I mean, I've heard people actually purchasing properties, unfortunately, losing their jobs right after purchasing them, or losing their jobs right before because of COVID, and then going to verify their employment, and then the deal's basically going to poop because of that. So I appreciate the testimonial, and you backing me up verbally with the quest that my company's doing. People need to know their options. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you come on here, because after looking at some of the passages in your book, and now the fact that you're willing to offer the additional information for people as far as the bonuses themselves with the bonus letters, which I didn't even know that you were doing it. I didn't even know that you had the additional letters. You have 2 letters in this book, but if somebody buys the book, you're willing to give them your additional up-to-date letters. It's really a win-win situation. Credit repair is very costly. It's very expensive. You're different, I guess, with what you're doing as far as the consumer law side of it versus the credit repair side. Not to say that one or the other is better or worse. It's just a different way of attacking somebody's credit. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I want to let people know, like I said, credit repair has been given a bad name because sometimes, just like in any industry, Matt, as you know, they're unscrupulous people. So, however, I think bad credit is more expensive than any credit repair that you can do. I don't care what the person's charging, because over a short period of time, you're paying so much for these credit errors that I mean, I can't imagine a credit repair price that would be higher than the cost of bad credit. So it's certainly worth it. The purpose of the book is to teach you how to cook. So if your cook is not there, you can do it yourself. You
Right.
know, but just like my time value, the only reason I have a cook sometimes is because it's more valuable for me to be working than cooking and cleaning all day. So, but for the average consumer, they can actually invest a little time and knowledge in what they're doing. And if they get professional help, you need to know about credit to maintain that good credit. Because if your credit is fixed and the next month you're not keeping your balances low or you're doing inquiries over and over, it's not going to do you any good. I see a good question on the screen there.
Well, that's my showstopper right there.
Okay.
Because people always ask me, Matt, I'm worried that if a short sale doesn't work, or if I'm going to approach going, because now I have a sale date, I have an auction date, depending on what state it is. If they have a foreclosure, or can a foreclosure or a mortgage or mortgages be deleted from someone's credit report for less than, I guess, 7 years?
Excellent question. And I was actually trying to lead to that and want to make sure we covered that because I know a lot of your group deals with real estate, obviously.
Yeah.
Deals with mortgages, deals with foreclosures. So the short answer to this question is yes. Yes, yes, yes. And let me go back and talk about reports in general. I cannot recall seeing a completely accurate credit report. So mortgages, especially foreclosures, are no exception.
Right.
Most foreclosures are reported inaccurately. They're reported incompletely, which is all against the law. So I've dealt with foreclosure. A lot of the good thing about the things I teach about, I've dealt with. I've dealt with bad credit. I've dealt with foreclosure. I've dealt with debt collection issues, and have overcome them all. And so, with respect to foreclosures and short sales, with them not being reported correctly in your credit report, you actually can use the FCRA to delete it from your credit report, completely delete it. So people that are facing foreclosure, short sales, you finally get it through it. Hopefully, even if you don't get through it, a lot of that history can be deleted because it's reported inaccurately. And my book tells you how to do that. I teach how to do that. But most certainly, you don't want to live with that because when you get in your next house or your next apartment or next whatever, you're going to need to clear that up. And I'll give you another secret. A lot of that information is not just with Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. It could be in other places. So I'll show you in that book, Matt, as you see in the back, it shows you the other places where some of that information is. And it's not just with the big three. You have, in the book, I put over 40 different reporting agencies that collect and sell your information. And some of them you should really check, depending on what you're doing, to clear up, your credit history.
I'm not going to say the name of the company, but I got news for you. This scares the shit out of me. It says, blah, 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 exchange. So there's really a company out there that takes your information. Are they selling your information?
Which one?
I don't want to say the name of the company.
But it says exchange. Yeah, yeah. So the information, and so let me tell you this, Matt. Consumers' information, your information, my information, is collected and sold for several billions of dollars a year. Okay, they're making a lot of money. I actually have a lawsuit right now against Experian for them selling reports under your name and making a profit. That's called right of publicity.
Mm-hmm.
Really against the law to do that. But yeah, they're making billions. So they're collecting information from any source they can get. It's almost like identity theft. It takes your information and sell it without your permission.
I'm looking at some of the stuff in the back of the book. Are you worried about becoming assassinated?
I used to, but I figured out. I used to be worried about it when I went up against banks, but I learned that what I'm doing is so small. My following is so small compared to the big scheme of things. I'm really just.
We might have to cut this interview short. I'm worried about my safety now.
No, you're fine. Trust me. We're not doing enough to really influence the big picture.
I didn't even, honestly, Brian, I didn't even look at some of the stuff in the back of the book. This is some scary shit.
Yeah.
Honestly, some scary shit. I think anybody that's worried about their credit or has any questions about their credit, on the high end, how much is this book? $25?
Yeah.
I feel like I should be buying these books for every single one of my clients.
It's a good idea because, again, you want that foreclosure, that short sale, all that stuff really deleted. Most of the time, there's so many errors in it. I've done it for myself and others, and it's just a good thing to do. That huge debt, especially when it's not updated to show zero, and then some short sales will show a balance. You don't want that on your credit report.
But you know what? Let me ask you a question, and this might terrify you, might not. I get a phone call yesterday from somebody, and I'm not going to say the state, but it's somewhere in the United States, and it's a person trying to purchase a property. And in the MLS sheet, it says that it's a short sale. That's it. Doesn't say anything else about it. My company was not working the transaction. The guy submits an offer on the property. And the offer is pretty much, it's the offer a little higher than what the guy wants for it. So the company turns around and says to this gentleman, he's a buyer who's purchasing the property. He goes, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the offer in. You want to buy it for, on even ballpark number, $500,000. But we're going to make the offer $450,000. Now you're buying the property for $450,000 or $500,000. So you're going to cut me a check for $50,000 plus you're going to give me the real estate commission. My jaw dropped when the guy's telling me this in a conversation. And I said, so is it the person who listed the property that's doing it? He goes, no. He goes, it's an agent. And then he proceeds to say something similar to what you do. I said, my guy, that is absolutely nothing that I do. He's clearly trying to commit fraud between what the purchase price of the property is and what he actually sent into the bank. Now, I don't know if that means that he sent in a totally separate offer or if he altered his offer to the bank. But what my company does, we disclose everything. How my works, it's disclosed on the MLS. There's disclosures that get signed. I said, was there any of that? And he said, no. And he said, my attorney is not allowing me to move forward with the transaction. And the person said, I've been watching on social media. Do you agree or disagree? And I say, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know how much money you put it into the transaction to secure it. I would walk away from it. Because, ready for this? The dollar amount in which the offer that was actually submitted would make it completely whole. And the person would not be doing a short sale on the property. This individual, this third party piece of you-know-what, is literally turning the property into a short sale and putting this person or putting the bank into a deficiency of what's actually owed. What's your thoughts on people like that?
Well, every scenario is different. The one you described is fraud against the bank because they are to short sell it, and that offer that the bank is saying they're doing that under the representation that there's not going to be a higher price paid for the property, so they're going to get what they can take. So it's that's a little tricky, not disclosing that to the bank, and someone depending on. It's a whole lot of parties involved, as you see. The bank, and they're taking representation. So that's tricky. I mean, in those situations, usually if a lawyer can look at it and really give a detailed analysis, because real estate investing is one thing. So as an investor, that investor, from a real estate investing standpoint, I mean, people want to buy stuff for a small amount all the time, but you can't misrepresent things to certain people, like banks that are compromising their debts, thinking that the deal is what was submitted. And so that could be considered fraud against them, depending on who's making the representation. So that investor is making a representation to you and really encouraging, I guess, you and the homeowner, or not you, but the homeowner to make a misrepresentation, or the lawyer, so technically that investor is not misrepresenting themselves to the bank, but trying to encourage someone to conspire with them and defraud the bank. And so it sounds like it's a bad idea. But that situation, especially short sales, the banks have the homeowner sign off on so much stuff to promise that they're not benefiting, that there's no side deal, and that's what makes it tricky and nefarious. Like
I think my thought process on this is that because this particular situation and what they're trying to do, they're taking advantage and almost bucking the system, whereas the bank would have been made whole, and the homeowner would be able to walk away with some equity versus no equity. So to me, and so the person asked me my opinion, and my opinion was, if I were you, I'd walk away. Actually, I said, I think you should run hard, don't look back.
Sure.
And tell me you're not interested, because what the third party individual is doing, I don't even think it's the real estate agent. Real estate agent thinks they're going to get their commission no matter what happens. And I don't know what's being divulged and what's not. And we've had a very similar situation happen very recently to me, where I'm having a very hard decision whether or not I'm going to have to actually pursue legal action or not. And it has nothing to do with the transaction itself. It has to do with somebody who is pretending to purchase the property. I don't like fraud. And I think that if you're in a situation and you're offering a service to somebody, you should just be transparent. There's more than enough money out there. Everybody's always in a race to get $1 million. So you don't make $1 million overnight, and it takes you 5 years to build it, but you get to keep that 5. You made $1 million overnight, now you get 10 million. Well, now it costs you 9 million in lawsuits and stay out of jail. So you only really made that first $1 million.
Right.
Slow and steady. That's it. Slow and steady.
Right. I agree. And you're right. Just to be transparent, if something is not completely transparent and legal on one side, and you learn of it, you really have a duty at that point to act accordingly and to not ignore it. That will land people in jail and et cetera. So you're doing the right thing by being transparent when you see something, saying something.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's all about disclosures. We disclose everything. We have the disclosure paperwork, the verbiage that's on the MLS, and anything I've ever heard in any of the MLSs, as long as you disclose everything, you're good. The minute you don't disclose, that's when you're not good. So I'm all about disclosures. So if somebody was to go into or not do a short sale and the property gets foreclosed on, are you saying that if it's not recorded correctly, that the foreclosure action can legitimately be removed off a credit report?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Seen it many times.
It?
Oh, I've done it for myself, for others. All the time, I've seen it. Yeah, absolutely.
Is it hard to really do it?
Well, that's relative. It can be as easy as writing a letter. It can be as easy as having to sue someone. I've had to do both. I've done it through writing a letter and just using some certified mail, to having to sue the reporting agencies to delete the information. So it's not hard for me because I've been through it a lot. For a person doing it with no experience in it, it may seem difficult because you may seem to be hitting a brick wall. That's because you're not sure what to do next. And like I say, I call the book 4 steps. There's steps to everything. So what I see a lot of people doing is step one, well, one step over and over, and that's insane. So if you don't know the next step, it just really seems impossible. But there's always additional steps that can be used.
Which leads to my next question. Is using a lawyer in a situation like this, can it be expensive?
I would say no. Just like we talked about earlier, I've never seen credit repair so expensive that it trumps the price of bad credit. Personally, my legal services, even though I'm not cheap, but if I help you, the benefits outweigh the cost so much, it's unbelievable. So if we delete that mortgage, if we delete your student loan, if we delete that medical bill, you may pay more if you have a $300 medical bill and you pay me $400 to delete it. Well, the average person will be, oh, that's dumb. You could have just paid the medical bill. Well, if you'd paid the medical bill, it would have come off the report.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes some education to really understand, because no one, first of all, I became a lawyer because lawyers were, I thought, expensive. But the greatest expense is not dealing with the legal issue and just trying to wing it and spending 10 years doing the same thing and waiting for something to fall off the credit report.
Right. So some people could basically get this book and be able to actually master it and get it done for themselves. Very similar to back in the day, maybe not recently because you're bald, but you remember Floby? You remember Floby, the hair cutting thing? You suck it onto your vacuum and everything.
Yeah, I can.
And some people were very successful with that Floby device.
Sure.
And some people not so much.
No,
so I guess you need to figure out, what are your limitations? This could be potentially a full-time job for somebody if they take it on themselves and don't know how to do it or don't follow the instructions.
The basic steps of this book will allow you to yourself deal with most issues. Now, here's the thing: things that are not resolved. Well, step 4 is you can lawyer up and get some professional help. It's like your toilet won't flush. Well, you can call the plumber right away, or you can try to plunge it. Okay. If you plunge it and it's clear, there's no need to call the plumber. It's the same concept here.
Oh, this is nice. Somebody said, "Thanks, Matt. You rock."
Okay.
And then she puts on here, it's $24.99.
Yeah, almost $25.
Wait, hold up. And you got this gentleman, Edwin Mallard. The book is good. He has it.
Yep.
He has the book. Do you know this gentleman?
Disclosure: he's one of my credit mastery students, and he's doing awesome things in Mississippi.
Okay.
Edwin. So yeah, he has the book, and he's putting it to work for others himself.
That's good. Somebody's question again, can't see who it is. How do you delete student loans? And just because it gets deleted off your credit report doesn't mean that you still don't own it, correct?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because you can delete student loans. Yes, you can, but you still have to address that debt. Student loans are a special kind of debt whereby there are laws that allow government guaranteed student loan lenders and servicers to actually garnish your pay if you don't pay. They don't have to go to court. So they have a shortcut to garnishing. So how to delete student loans? It's sort of like everything else. It's described in the book. You look for inaccurate or incomplete information on those student loan trade lines.
Right.
I'll give you a hint. The name of the furniture itself is always incomplete or inaccurate. Okay. Usually the balance is always inaccurate.
Right.
Payment history a lot of times is incomplete and many times inaccurate. So I actually have a student loan deletion package that I give them people all the letters they need to go through and delete the student loans. But yes, they can certainly be deleted. And when you do that, it really decreases your debt to income ratio and the overall credit ratios, because those student loans can be tens of thousands of dollars, and even professional students and professionals have over $100,000 in student loan debt.
I would like to set something up at a later date with you.
Okay.
And maybe have like a mastermind or a seminar of some sorts, and limit it to maybe 50 people max.
Sure.
Come in and do like a massive Q&A,
right?
And offer that to people that really could see the value in it. And I know there's thousands of people out there, but here's my philosophy on it. There's a ton of people that want to be a part of the short sale boot camp. They want to come to it and they want to buy it. And then I have people, no, I want you to mentor me. Can I take all the classes? You got to start somewhere, and it's the foundation. And if you don't have the right foundation in any field, whether you're building a house, whether you're building a business. Imagine building a skyscraper and there's no foundation.
Oh man.
It's going to fall. So you need to know, you absolutely have to understand your craft and learn your craft along the way, but you have to understand the basics. And that's why I have on the bottom of the screen the boot camp that we're doing live on October 23rd. Maybe you can agree or disagree, but you could be a beginner, intermediate, advanced in short sales. There's always stuff to be learned. Why not take advantage of an event like this that's going to help somebody massively improve their business and make it better, smoother for their client? Because remember, it's not about you and me, Brian. It's about the person that we're trying to help. And then, I got the, hey, can you send me a free link or a code that I can get in for free? Why? I've been doing this for 15 years. You value what I have to say when it's for free, but if you have to pay for it, it's not valuable. Do you get that in your field as well?
Yeah, all the time. And I'll say this again, anyone that's remotely thinking about doing a short sale, if you're trying to help someone with a short sale, which includes real estate agents, you really have to educate yourself. The weird thing is there's no required education. Now, as a lawyer, we have to continue our education. And so if you're a real estate investor, agent, or homeowner trying to go through the process, you have to take this boot camp, because you have to get the latest information. This is not 2019, Matt. It's 2020. The stuff you did 10 years ago, I mean, when we first met, it's totally different. So you have to get the latest information. You only can get that by getting with like-minded people, going to boot camps like yours, and investing in that education. The stuff you get for free, like I was saying, is not the best information. The stuff you get cheaply is not the best information. I told you, there's a guy selling a letter called a 609 letter, making millions of dollars, and it's the wrong letter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, by all means, if you're trying to do a short sale, learn about short sales, you have to get to this boot camp. Matt's probably, I think you're the only guy that I know that's doing it at the level you're doing it, as far as you're not just a teacher of it. This is what you've been doing for a couple of decades.
So I want to ask you, I'm happy you brought that up, because that's a good point. So there's people out there that are teaching it. There are people out there that are gurus that have these books out there, but they're not doing it, or they stopped doing it. Like for me, like if I was to ever stop doing it, that doesn't mean that I would shut my company down, because my company's doing good. So I think that there's doers, and then there's, there's people that are not doers, that are just trying to sell regurgitated information, like that letter that you're talking about. So,
well, you have people out there that may have done a short sale back in 2006, and it went well, and so it's 2020, and I'm going to keep teaching about short. Well, what you did in 2006 has nothing to do with anything, but you are in the industry, and it's a little different. I mean, you're in the industry, and you see what's going on. You see what banks are wanting in 2020 to get these things done, and you're not regurgitating some historical information that's outdated. So, what you're doing is important, but you're still working. Now, if you stop doing short sales as a practice, well, you would have to deal with people with their feet on the ground to see if anything's changed, but that's not the case. You're still active, and you're giving people the latest information, and really trying to educate people. And I understand what you're doing, because if more people did it right, it would probably make your job a little bit easier.
Let me put it this way. I have no problem going out of business. If people could do what I do and duplicate what
exactly
done with my colleague, I'm okay with it. I'll jump on to the next bandwagon of whatever stuff that needs to be fixed. I could have been a multi-millionaire, but I decided to go a different route. Now I'm a little bit older, I'm a little bit wiser, so I am looking into investments and stuff. But I was the Cape Crusader. I still am the Cape Crusader. I don't show it publicly yet, but I mean, the cover of my book and the back is done. I'm ready to roll. There's one thing. So there is going to be a spoiler alert, because there is going to be 2 books, because there's way too much information to put in one.
Great.
I have the first book and then the second book that's coming out. The first book is Short Sale Savage, and
Mm-hmm.
it's untold stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real hard look behind the scenes. But when you're doing a short sale and people say, "Oh, I do short sales," or "I do this, I do that," they're like, "Oh, you're a processing company." I'm not a processing company. My company set up as loss mitigation. I'll take it one step further. We had a hotel that we were working on, and there was a second mortgage from a really big name bank,
Mm-hmm.
and they reported incorrect, inaccurate information on not so much the credit report, but the way that they filed it.
Mm.
And because they filed it incorrectly, we wiped out a $270,000 mortgage. Gone.
Oh, awesome.
So when someone
Awesome.
says to me, "Oh, you're a processing company," no,
No.
because I don't think processing companies do the stuff that we do. I know for a fact they don't do it. That's why I like to surround myself with individuals like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, "Oh, he's promoting this guy's book." I'm not making a dime off this book. For
Mm-hmm.
me, this is just, I'm a servant. I'm out here trying to help people that are in trouble and distressed with their property. You can believe whatever you want. You can be a naysayer. I mean, I
Right.
deal with crap on a daily basis. Guys, my guest today is Brian L. Ponder. He's an attorney, and he has a book, 4 Steps to Better Credit. And if you don't get this book, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. This book, it's like breathing. It's like oxygen. And the stuff in the back of the book, which I'm not going to say because I'm not looking to get assassinated. I think it's important for people to understand information. You got a couple of hashtags here. Brian Ponder, hashtag Brian Ponder, hashtag Credit Mastery. And if somebody wants to reach out to you directly, obviously they can email you, they could call you on that 646 number, which I'm going to bring up right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can email Brian direct. If you get his book, he's willing to give you guys the bonus information, the letters that you need to be even more successful doing it by yourself. Or maybe you want to open up a credit repair business. I don't know. Reach out to Brian. I'll tell you the pros and cons. You can contact him direct at 646-450-9461. Again, his direct number is 646-450-9461. Ryan, is there anything you want to let I guess my viewers know about yourself before we go?
Well, sure. I mean, I'm in the business of helping you. So if there's anything I can do to help, I also have a YouTube. I have many videos. I actually have an hour and a half video where I pretty much go through the whole concept of credit. So I'm just trying to create value and content. So if I can help in any way, don't hesitate to call. Doesn't cost you anything to drop an email. So I know lawyers I know lawyers are expensive and intimidating because I was once not one and had to use lawyers. But what Matt's doing here is free. Take advantage of what you can while you can. And I appreciate the opportunity, Matt, to be able to talk to your audience.
Absolutely, 100%. Thanks for coming on. At the end of every one of these lives, I ask my guests if they can emulate the finger point. You think you can do it? Oh, I like that. Nobody ever smiles.
Well, I'll try to hold a straight face.
Good. I'm going to give you an 8.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
Brian, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
All right.
If anybody wants to reach out, obviously your contact information is here. We're going to leave these things up for the live. The offer that Brian had given everybody that they want to purchase his book, go to his link. The link is published. Email him directly, show him proof of payment of purchasing the book. And how many letters are they going to get for free?
I have over a dozen bonus letters that I'll send you. I mean, it might be 13 or 14.
Perfect. So you get a little over 12 additional letters that's going to help you do what's right and make credit great again. Leave it at that.
There you go.
Thanks so much for joining us, Brian. I appreciate it. Hold on one sec. Don't go anywhere. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode with my special guest, Brian Ponder. He's an attorney, and I guess he is you're a credit advocate for people that have issues with credit. If you or you know somebody who may or may not want to be a guest on the show, at least give them the opportunity and let them know about the live. It's all about real estate. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.